for giving me an opportunity to speak on this very important discussion on demands for grants for 2023 by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Sir, I would like to start, because we all started the day today, by reading the Honorable Prime Minister's tweet. It's probably a coincidence that today is the discussion and the Honorable Prime Minister tweets about the same subject. And it's good news for the country. But I just, with my very limited knowledge, I wish Piyush Goyal ji was here today, but my very competent two ministers I heard, Supriya ji, one of the young ministers in this team, which we are very proud of. I would like to ask a question that this 400 number that you have achieved, compliments to your government if you've achieved it, but is it by volume or is it purely because of inflation that has come? So I really need to know, is it directly through jobs and wealth created in this country, or is it, I don't want to use the word fluff because it's probably a little unparliamentary in a debate, but that's what I mean. So if you could kindly explain to me as what is the reality of this number. The fact that the Honorable Prime Minister has reached a number, of course there has to be some great might behind it, but I just need to know whether it's in volume or is it in real numbers, is my humble request to the Honorable Minister here. There are 2-3 other questions. I mean, it was very nice to see a very healthy banter between my two colleagues, our new MP who has just come, Prajita, and my learned colleague who's a senior to all of us, is Mr. Pinaki Mishra ji, about the budget. I think, sir, I appreciate your intervention, and the way I would like to look at it, in their own way, they are both right. Because I think what the Treasury Bench Minister member was trying to explain to us, because what she was saying is last year what was asked for and then what was revised. But what we expect this year is what was revised is what it was spent. So that's what the government needs. So they should add to RE, not do B to B. So to last year's RE, they should have added, that should have been this year's B. Obviously, that means there's a cut. And I think Pinaki ji was absolutely right when he said, Pinaki ji has stand corrected, that it is a 20% decrease from last year's RE. So clearly it is a decrease. I understand she speaks from the Treasury bench, so they can't accept the truth. So I respect her point of view, but the reality is that there is a cut.
Even RE is not the actual expenditure.
Correct. Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you, sir. Another question I would like to ask the Honorable Ministers is industrial infrastructure upgradation schemes. You are talking about industry so much. I appreciate that. But the point is that there's a mismatch between what your aims are and the funds allocated are. There were 7 approved projects by your government, out of which only, according to the Standing Committee report, only 1 is done. So 7 are left just high and dry. So is that why it matches that the money is not spent or allotted? Is a clarification we really need from you. Another thing is the intellectual property rights. So we are all very proud about the patents that are coming. But this government commits that it has reduced it from 12 months, is what? But the Standing Committee report says that there is absolutely no improvement, is what that report says. So innovation, fast-tracking, application, so much about technology gets sent. We want that to happen. You all talked about startups. I'm proud to say that the Treasury Bench members also talked about startups. I'm happy to say that in your own government report, Maharashtra is the state where I come from, the highest number of startups doing well is from Maharashtra. So I take a lot of pride when I say that there are sometimes it's not just about which party we are. Eventually we are one country. So I think we all at some point, when it comes to such larger issues of the nation, I think we need to complement each other, because it's eventually some issues are common. Country first and then come our differences, ideological differences. So I think we have, my state has done very well in this particular topic. A lot said about pharmaceutical companies. So that's a big potential. It's a big ticket. But I appreciate what Shiv Kumar ji also said, and both the Treasury benches speakers said, and they gave a lot of credit to the Honorable Prime Minister. But I very humbly would like to say that one of these companies which the whole India is talking and taking credit for comes from Pune district where I belong, Serum Institute of India. And they didn't start this vaccination in 2014. So there are few things happened. हमारे टाइम में 60 साल में थोड़ी तो चीजें हुई थी, उसमें का एक वैक्सीनेशन था. Or Serum Institute was started in the 50s by the Poonawalla family, and they didn't start exporting in 2014 or 2022. They started vaccines and started exporting for the last 50 years. So that is something which we must give credit to. Of course, during COVID, there were no differences. We were all of us versus the COVID. But let's put some facts on the paper that these are private companies. And if this government feels so strongly about pharmaceuticals, there is a pharmaceutical company which is owned by the Chemical and Fertilizers Department in Pune district. Why don't you put in a good administration and run it efficiently? So there will be serum, there will be Covaxin, and there will be even our products which are run by the government. And most pharmaceuticals in India which are doing exceptionally well are privately owned. So industry has to be supported. And I appreciate the point Pinaki ji said. Actually, they do live in fear. And it's not. I mean, every day you read on some newspaper or channel, somebody is getting raided. I'm not against raids. If somebody is doing a bad job, has done something illegal, please raid them. But this government's data says, I'm not saying that, sir, that maximum raids that have happened in the last 2 years. This is what their reply in the Rajya Sabha says. I don't speak ever without data. And what Pinaki just says is right. And I would like to quote a very dear friend of mine who gave an interview. Sir, I will not take his name with your permission because he may get raided after that. And I really feel that he's contributed a lot to this country. He says, I know industrialists today who think that this government is not open to any criticism. He explains that there is a fear that there will be consequences. That's why the industrialists today restrain. They don't want to say anything. Anyway, this is in the public media. Rahul Bajaj, unfortunately, is no more with us. He would say that later. We're courageous, and this was Naushad Forbes. Naushad said this in one of his interviews. Naushad, both are courageous, and I just hope my friend Naushad doesn't get raided after what I've said. Because what he said a very fair thing. He says and I won't put this out of context. He's talked about governments all year. So I won't just blame you all. मेरी आदत ऐसे नहीं है कि तुम्हारा सब अच्छा, मेरा सब अच्छा और तुम्हारा सब बुरा. जो अच्छा है उसको अच्छा जरूर बोलूँगी. But I think fear is something because industry contributes to this nation. They are the real job creators. I'm not going to get into the job situation. The latest India Today story is exactly about government jobs because India's industry is not going at the speed it has grown, or because of even the environment as well as so much of technology coming, jobs are changing. So everybody's looking for a government job, and then what chaos happens, we know. Everybody talked about one district, one product. It's a great project. We are also happy to support it, but what next? I mean, my district has been chosen for tomato. My collector is waiting as what are you all going to do. So I would like to ask you all, these all sound wonderful on paper and wonderful in speeches. I think we need to stop this jingoism and get into some action is my request to this government. So 2-3 quick points I'd like to make. This Dubai Expo. So this was a very good intervention. For last 6 months, there is this Dubai Expo, October to March. And I would like to ask that what have we achieved? I'm sure you have achieved something, but what is it can this country know? Otherwise, ऐसे जाके सब दुबई घूम के वापस आ गए, अच्छी बात है, उनका टूरिज्म बढ़ रहा है और हमारा पैसा जा रहा है, ऐसा नहीं हो. So I would like to ask you that B2B or B2C, what investment have you achieved by this Dubai Expo in the last 6 months is what? Then there was so much talk about champion services sector, new trade policy. Okay, new trade policy. So my question to it is, even Aprajita ji talked extensively about it. Time has come for a new policy. The whole dynamics of the world are changing. My question to this government is, can you commit to the floor of this house? Because the Treasury Bench member was saying that you want to do business with America, you want to do business and new trade policies, all they sound beautiful to the ears. But does that mean, what I worry about is that are you guaranteeing that every trade agreement you do, 100% you will protect the farmer?